Hey guys, this is Dirty Mike D with Fat Guy Gaming, and I'd like to welcome you to my American Tier 5 Battleship comparison video. Here we'll be putting these four battleships right next to each other and taking a look at them, comparing the armor layouts and the four different categories of their stats. And then I will have a live talk through of a battleship game I had in one of them that was kind of an outstanding one. So take a look, hope you enjoy it. First, we're going to start with the commander that I'm going to have on all four of these ships just to keep all the stats on a level playing field, and that will be Sims. Here you see Sims. I've got him 16-3 and pretty much spec'd for pure accuracy with Cunningham on as inspiration, but instead of like A.L. Scharnhorst for more accuracy, I went with Von Essen because I like to reduce the amount of ricochet angle or defensive capabilities of my opponents. So that's why I'm choosing Sims. And now we're going to go ahead and pop over and just look at what all these ships kind of look like in the standard viewing screen here. All right, so here we have a look at them. You've got the Arizona, the California, and the West Virginia coming in as premiums, with the New Mexico being the tech tree ship. The California is slightly wider in the hips due to the pronounced torpedo bulges, with the Arizona having a tripod tower on its aft, and the West Virginia having a cage style. The other big difference between the ships are the Arizona, the California, and the New Mexico have a 4x3 turret configuration for 12 guns, whereas the West Virginia has a 4x2 for an 8-gun count. You'll also notice the California seems to be much heavier AA gun protected, so you've got that going for her. They're all good looking ships, you know, the American battleships were all really good looking ships. Alright, so now here we are in the beautiful armor viewer, which I'm really glad they added to this game. So what you're seeing here is these four ships have a lot of similarities in their armor layout. They've got super heavy armored turrets, very light to no armor on the superstructure. You will see the California has a lot more superstructure than the other three. You also see the big orange stripe going down the California's side. That is torpedo reduction. You don't see it as much on the West Virginia because it's more below the waterline. That red stripe you're seeing is the casemate on the armor belt. The New Mex, you don't really see too much of it at all there. And then same thing with the Arizona. Well, what the Arizona's not showing you as much is it is probably the least armored of the four. Its side citadel armor is only 203, and its casemate is about 330 millimeters thick, whereas the other ones are 343 on the casemate and the armor belt, and the same thing with the citadel on the sides. The bout armor on the Arizona is 25 and the New Mexico is 25. The California and the West Virginia are both 26. But as it comes to what you can or cannot bow tank, you'll see in the next little slide that it doesn't make too much of a difference in the with the battleships that you'll be going up against. I really like the armor viewer. You can take layers and stuff off. The other thing you're going to notice is these turrets are super tough, and your best chance of disabling one of these American battleship turrets is a plunging fire into the top of the turret, but even that's going to be pretty hard to do. So you see why a lot of people target superstructure, because there's almost no plating there. Another thing to note is that the New Mexico and the California both have 45% torpedo reduction, with the West Virginia having 42% and the Arizona having 42%. The other thing is, out of all of them, the New Mexico is probably the least susceptible to plunging fire because of its deck armors. The deck armor on the New Mexico over the Citadel is 70 millimeters, and on the casemate and the deck it's 51 to 140 millimeters. The other three have a 38 millimeter Citadel deck, and then ranges from 38 to 120 on their just casemates. So the New Mexico is a much tougher ship at dealing with plunging fire. Here I made up just a quick little little table for you to know what ships you can or cannot bow tank. And at tier 5, if you're in all 4 of these ships, you need to watch out for the Mutsu, the Queen Elizabeth, the Bayern, and the Warspite, and their variants, like the Warspite B or the Queen Elizabeth, the Azerlane ones. They will overmatch your bow, angled or not. So you have to watch for those. All the other tier 5 battleships, if you get the proper angle, you do have a chance to ricochet. The only real difference between the 4 is the West Virginia and the California have the 26 millimeter bow instead of the 25. So the guaranteed angle of ricochet is going to be slightly less having to angle. At tier 6, if you end up tiered a little bit, you can only bow tank the King George V, the Scharnhorst, the Leon, the Poltava, and the Duke of York. All other tier 6 battleships are going to overmatch you, and it's going to be a bad day for you. So there you go. Keep that in mind. Keep it in the back of your head. Take a screenshot or take a picture of this. So when you do their little pre-game look at what you're up against, you can know what you can or cannot angle against successfully and learn your angles. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of these things. We'll start with the survivability of the ships. Arizona comes in at 59,100 hit points. New Mexico, 55,100 hit points. California is 60,200, and the West Virginia at 52,100. The California is the big dog in this area, and the West Virginia is the lowest of them. It also comes in the bottom of torpedo reduction at 42, whereas the California is at 45. Mexico's at 45, and then the Arizona is also at 42%. So survivability, these things are, they're within 10% of each other, but the California definitely has it where it needs it with the hit points, and Sims tends to help that out a lot. All right, let's take a look at these 4 bad boys artillery. So the Arizona, New Mexico, and California all have 356 millimeter guns. They're arranged in 4 sets of 3 for 12 guns each, but the West Virginia is a little different. It's got 4 sets of 2 406s. So it's got a bit much larger caliber gun to it. The range, the New Mexico comes out with the longest range at 16.2. California comes in second at 16, and then the Arizona and the West Virginia both top out about 15.9 with my Sims build. The reload on these things ranges from between 30 to 35 seconds. The California and West Virginia both have a 30-second reload. The New Mexico is 34.2 and the Arizona at 35 seconds. Traverse speeds are pretty rough on the Arizona, New Mexico, and California at 40 seconds. And the West Virginia comes in at 32.7 seconds, so that's the lowest of the 4. And that's just going to help you get your turrets on target a little bit better if you're in a little bit of a brawl. But what I really think you're going to find interesting is how the damage per second for these ships really come out to. So HE-wise, the California is on the top of the list with about 2,000 damage per second. Of course, damage per second being the damage of each shell times how many shells there are in a group, and then divide it by the reload time. So your California is definitely going to have the highest DPS of the 4. You would think with the 406s, the West Virginia does, but actually the West Virginia kind of fails in this respect with a DPS in the HE range of only 1520 and in the AP range of 3637, which is the lowest of all 4. That's primarily because it has 4 less guns than the other ships. The only positive to it are they are 406s, so there's going to be a few ships out there that can't bow tank you, that think they can bow tank you, and you're going to be able to just overmatch their bow. But in just raw damage output, all the 3 other ships outdo the West Virginia. The highest, like I said, is the California, and its AP broadside is equal to the New Mex, but the 4-second faster reload time gives it a higher DPS of 4620, whereas the New Mexico has a DPS of 4052, and the Arizona is at 3864, which is still higher than the West Virginia, but those 356s may get bounced by some of the battleship bows that are out there. The other thing the West Virginia does have going for it, though, is a 36% chance of fire. The other three ships are all at 30% chance of fire. So you do get a slightly higher chance of fire, which will increase your DPS. You know, with the way the balance had to work, I can see why they had to do that. One last thing we need to talk about here when it comes to their artillery is the secondaries on these ships. Arizona, New Mexico, and West Virginia all have 18 secondaries, and they all have between a 6 and 9% chance of fire, reaching out to about 4.8 kilometers. That's with sims. That's with no help and no secondary increase on the range. The California only has 16 with a 5% chance of fire, but I believe that stat's kind of not reflective of the fact that it does have superior anti-aircraft gun fire, and those stats just are not in the game right now to show you. But I mean, as far as secondaries go, they do have quite a few on them, so don't discount their secondaries. Okay, we should be able to get through these next two sections pretty quick here, since speed and rudder shift are not exactly the high points of these ships. The speed for the Arizona, New Mexico, and West Virginia is a blistering 18.9 knots. And the speed for the California is slightly less at 18.5. Interesting enough, though, their turning radiuses for 3 out of the 4 ships are right in line with like Yukikazes and ACATs and Asachios at 640 meters on the radius of those. Now, the West Virginia is a little bit bigger with a 670 radius. The rudder shift on these things, New Mexico comes in at the best at 12.2, followed by West Virginia, 12.3. California is the worst at 13.3, and Arizona is right in the middle at 13.1. When it comes to the concealment stat for these ships, there's not really much to look at. The lowest one is the West Virginia at 13.3 kilometers by sea. The worst is the Arizona and the New Mexico, both have 13.6. You're not going to get much deviation in any of the stats, except for maybe the shooting while in smoke stat. The West Virginia is definitely easier to see when it shoots in the smoke, but either way, you're going to be seen. You're going to be seen almost right away. You're not sneaking up on nothing. So just remember that when you're playing these things. You're just going to have to use your armor, angle, and use whatever terrain you can when you need it to increase your survivability. Alright, so here I am in my California, Tier 5. First thing I do is check the enemy team just to see if I know anybody, what I'm up against. Mainly what kind of destroyers the enemy team has. I saw Monahan, which doesn't scare me too much. And right off the rip, I decide, okay, I'm going to train my guns left and bow more towards B just because I'm going to be seen fast, and I don't want to be given broadside to people going from B towards C. The other thing is, you see that I started slow in quarter speed, and I'm throttling up to half and full and kind of feathering it a little bit. I don't like to be one of the first people seen on the map. I mean, it's going to happen anyway with the detection of, like, 13.5, but I like to let my destroyers get out there just a little bit. Maybe I'll spot their battleships before I'm spotted and be able to get my salvo off, or even a cruiser if I'm lucky. So here I'm just telling this guy that I'm going to try to support him as he goes to A, but things kind of change as you see as this game goes. Very first thing I see is a California, but at this range I don't really want to take a shot at it, so I target the Hawkins. Using the little auto aim feature, you're going to see that a lot where I zoom in and zoom out, give a little ad, let her fly, see what happens here. Some 3 overpens for only 13,000 damage, but it's going to hopefully scare him off with that Ohotnik, who he's just wailing on that Ohotnik right now. He's, going in and out of detection since our Ohotnik's in his own smoke. California's up, so I decide, you know what? Now, since I don't really have any other targets, I'm not going to just hold my shots. I got to get this reload started. Let off on that California. 3 pens, do a decent amount of damage. What is that, 8,000 something damage? Monahan's ghosting in and out of detection. No shots on her. Otherwise, I would have definitely shot at that Monahan right away. My Ohotnik's still hanging on, but if I check him, I think he's pretty low life. This time on this California, I elevate just a little bit more. You'll see me elevate just a little bit more. And I'm rewarded for it with some plunging fire and an incapacitation here on his guns with the second set. Hawkins is back, but this big island's in the way. I kind of throttle him back for turning purposes, and then I throttle forward again. Now I see this Bayern to my right, which kind of changes how I'm fighting, because the Bayern's going to overmatch me with his guns. So I start deciding, you know what? I'm gonna engage this Bayern. He's the biggest threat to me right now, other than that destroyer. But that destroyer's got things between me, and he just keeps firing, so I know where he's at. So I just start engaging this Bayern as much as I possibly can, getting my defend it ribbons. Keep an eye on these guys at 10 clicks out, and I'm not moving at my full 18 knots. I'm not really worried. Plus, for some reason, this Monahan just loves to be spotted, so he just stays spotted the whole time. Just keep checking my surroundings. It's a slow lumbering process with these things, but I just keep firing on this Bayern. It's worth it. I never really get any good Citadel hits or anything on him. He's a tough cookie. There you see the one of the enemy destroyers. So now I know I only have to worry about the Monahan. And like I said, he's keeping himself pretty much where I can see him. He's ghosted out right now. Here's a Galissonier. Anytime I get a chance at a broadside cruiser, I'm going to take it. So, of course, 2 more overpens. Buddy's close to death, and you know what? Any chance to take guns off the board, I'm going to take it. I get a couple good hits here. I don't get the kill, but that's okay. Someone got it, and it's over with. So, Bayern's, or the destroyer, once again, giving his position away, shooting this stuff at me. I'm just ignoring him for the most part. He's not doing much at 9 clicks from me. The Monahan has a relatively longer reload on his torpedoes. For some reason, he doesn't ever challenge me with his torpedoes, and I can't really explain it why. So I'm just keep popping at the Bayern. There's a pretty good hit. Finally, 2 overpens and 3 regular penetration. That's what I needed. But this Bayern, he stays alive for a long time. New Mexico, I'm always going to take the shot at something like this. I elevate a little bit since he's starting to turn away. Now I'm starting to get a little closer to this Monahan. It's time to start giving him some guns and letting him know I see him. Why he doesn't... You know what? He might have got his torpedo tubes blown up or something early in the match. That's the only thing I can think why he doesn't ever try to torpedo me. He just keeps throwing these fires at me, which I'm just shrugging off. I don't know that he... I'd have to look again. I don't know that he ever really gets a fire on me. I do duff about 3 salvos here. Look at this. 1 hit, no hits there. No hit. I think maybe 1 shell connects on this round. It's not much. But sooner or later, I do take him down. Spoiler alert. But for some reason, I was not able to target this guy like I wanted to. So, like I said, he's still not a big threat to me. I started attacking the Bayern because I really want to get his big guns out of here. Kind of a funky one. Time to finally get rid of this Monahan. Let's see, I fire behind him a little bit. I think only 1 round hits. 1 real stray round. Alright. I'm constantly in this game switching targets. Not really worried about the battleship that's behind me. He's engaged with that other battleship. So I just sort of ignored them. No one shot at me. So the ship is on fire. Just keep on it. Keep them from being able to press into B and get it. Spotter airborne. Concentrate. I think this was a pretty good hit on Bayern too. But like I said, I never really get the good Citadel you're looking for, you know? Those all seem like really good hits, and I never get that clean Citadel. Sir. Here we go. I think this is the shot that takes out the Monahan finally. Or it's not this salvo, it's a rear gun salvo, I believe, that takes him out. Yeah, he turns into this one a little bit. I don't think I hit any, maybe one. And then the rear gun salvo here finally gets him. So now someone's finally got me on fire. I got rid of that and I start training guns and getting turned into the Bayern. I don't know if that Monahan got me with the fire or the Bayern finally set me on fire, but it doesn't matter. I'm starting to turn full speed. Get another salvo. I needed to elevate this one, I think, just a little bit more. Nah, just bad dispersion. Rear guns. I think those hit pretty good. Yeah, those were good hit. And I incapacitated a gun. Anytime you incapacitate a gun, it's a good day. Now, I see this Ismail. Get a couple more shots off on this Bayern, but the Ishmael scares me. Those things have really tormented me in my World of Warships career. There, I totally destroyed that gun finally. I think this is the Bayern's end note here. Nope, still haven't taken him out. Dang. But when I see a Ishmael or any of the Russian battleships, they just hit so hard that I have to take the shot. Everything else be damned, I have to take the shot. So here I take a couple shots at him. I really don't do that much damage. In fact, those are a little bit too far behind. I take it a little bit further forward on this one. But I'm constantly staying angled to things. You see, I've never really given a pure broadside up to anybody at any one time, except for maybe to the Bayern for a few minutes, a few seconds. This should be it on the Bayern. I think he keeps turning, and I correct for his turning. Get him. Yeah. Elevated a little bit. Plunge down. Avoid his belt as much as possible. Now the Ishmael. I get real lucky on this one, too. So he starts just turning in hard to me, which is what he should do. To try to bounce my 356s. And I decide, you know what? I'm just going to aim for guns here. Maybe I get lucky and take out one of his guns and just incapacitate it and put it on reload again. Yeah, kind of put back here, and here we go, and boom, say goodbye to that front turret. At this point, I'm not real worried about this Ishmael as much. He's the only one left, and for all I care, I'll ram him. I don't really care. He shrugs off a couple here. I should have waited for the turn a little bit more, because he bounced a couple of them. But at this point, I got him. There he goes. The one Citadel. He got past that auto ricochet angle. I turn in just to boom, boom. See, look, I bounced all them babies. He did very little damage to me. Gotta use your armor. It's what you got it for. You know, sometimes you gotta forget you have rear guns. If you notice in this match, there's a lot of times I just shoot my rears or my fronts one way, and then I use my rears on a different target if I have to. A couple big Citadel. And here we go. 40-second turret rotation. He's too close. He's gonna... So I just point this way, get my guns going as fast as I can. Same thing with the rear ones, and then I turn to starboard, hoping to pull these rear guns as fast as I can and help their turret rotation to get them online. The other thing you'll notice here is I don't aim waterline on him. I'm trying to negate the fact that we're this close and he's got that armor belt. So you'll see that I elevate just a little bit to get above that belt and go. They don't have a lot of superstructure to shoot at, those Russian battleships. So you got to shoot where you can shoot. And pretty good game. I think it was, what, 150,000? Just keep on playing with those armor angles, and you'll figure it out. You'll get good at using your armor where you can. Just got to keep in mind what you can and cannot bounce, and take out the biggest threats when you can. Thanks for watching, and hit the like and share if you enjoyed this video.